July 15th, where a chunk of carved rock unlocked an entire ancient language, and later, a fallen emperor surrendered, reshaping Europe forever. Two events, centuries apart, but each a pivot point of history. Ready to journey through time on one unforgettable date? Hello, and welcome to Earth Sights on This Day series. And today our spotlight is on July 15th, the day that gave us the Rosetta Stone in 1799 and witnessed Napoleon's second abdication in 1815. These aren't just historical footnotes. They're stories of curiosity, conquest, and consequence. Let's explore how this date shaped language, power, and global history. In 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte set out on his Egyptian expedition, bringing both soldiers and scholars to assert French influence and study antiquities. By July 1799, French troops were rebuilding Fort Julien near Rosetta, modern Rashid, on the Nile Delta. Napoleon's plan was twofold: military dominance and a cultural mission, an expedition combining the battlefield with the library. On July 15, 1799, French engineer Lieutenant Pierre-François Bouchard was fortifying a wall when his pickaxe struck something unusual, an inscribed black granodiorite slab embedded in rubble. Bouchard understood its significance and informed the French savants. It was carted to Cairo for study. Imagine lifting a stone and finding three scripts whispering secrets across millennia. The Rosetta Stone contained a decree from Ptolemy V dated around 196 BC, inscribed in hieroglyphs, Demotic, and Ancient Greek, the same text in three languages. This trilingual nature made it a linguistic Rosetta, literally the key to unlocking Egyptian hieroglyphs. Think of it as having an unknown code and finding not one, but two cribs and one you already recognize. The Rosetta Stone's discovery during a military campaign was ironic. It would spark not conquest, but comprehension. As news of the find spread, scholars in Europe scrambled to obtain copies of the inscription. Although the French found the stone, the British seized it in 1801 after defeating Napoleon's forces in Egypt. Under the Treaty of Alexandria, the stone was shipped to England and presented to the British Museum, where it remains today. The deciphering process would take decades. English physicist Thomas Young made early progress by identifying that some hieroglyphs represented sounds rather than ideas. But it was Jean-François Champollion, a brilliant French linguist, who ultimately cracked the code in 1822, using the Greek portion to decode phonetic values and unlock the meaning of hieroglyphs. His work laid the foundation for modern Egyptology. From deciphering ancient languages to witnessing the fall of empires, July 15th carried seismic shifts. On the same date, July 15th, but in 1815, another seismic event occurred: the final downfall of Napoleon Bonaparte. Just weeks after his crushing defeat at the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon, once Emperor of the French, surrendered to Captain Frederick Maitland aboard the HMS Bellerophon. He had hoped to find asylum in Britain, imagining a life in exile as a private citizen, but British authorities had other plans. Rather than granting him refuge, the British government decided to exile Napoleon to the remote island of St. Helena, far off in the South Atlantic Ocean. Isolated, windswept, and heavily guarded, St. Helena ensured Napoleon would never again threaten Europe. He would spend the final 6 years of his life there, dying in 1821. Thus, July 15th becomes a date of profound duality. On one hand, the unlocking of an ancient language. On the other, the locking away of a modern conqueror. One event expanded human knowledge. The other contained human ambition. Both left legacies that would resonate through the centuries. July 15th reminds us that history isn't just memory. It's a living narrative of discovery and downfall. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more on This Day stories. Comment below what fascinated you most: the unlocking of an ancient civilization or the final act of an emperor's reign. Share this with history buffs you know. Until next time, keep exploring the past.